from Center on Halsted, and welcome to the 2021 Human First Virtual Gala, a community celebration. It's been more than a year that we were knocked off our feet from the awfulness of COVID-19 and forced to shelter in place. Today, there is new hope, and we are excited to welcome you back to rediscover your center. So please join me.
Hi, I'm Dooley, Chair of the Program Committee. Thank you for joining us tonight at the Human First Gala. As the mother of a gay child, ally, and board member, I've seen many manifestations of family. Sometimes family can be supportive, and sometimes not so much. But one of the most inspiring characteristics of the LGBTQ community is our ability to choose and make our own families. We know that the stressors of living with homophobic, biphobic, or transphobic families make life extremely challenging. And far too often, what we see is this leads to a range of painful consequences, ranging from depression to self-harm, violence, and abuse, to being kicked out of your home just for coming out and being your authentic self. Programs at the Center on Halsted have always helped our community members, young and old, gain the stability, the resources, and the support they need to live life to the fullest. Our behavioral health services provide critical mental health support for over 2,000 people each year through individual, family, couples, and group therapy opportunities, as well as our behavioral health phone line. In addition, we provide eased access to letters of support for gender affirmation surgeries. We serve as a training site for the next generation of mental health professionals, and we connect our clients to the best level of LGBTQ affirming care possible. Likewise, youth services help connect our young people to vital supports to help them thrive and transition into adulthood as healthy, connected, and independent individuals. It breaks my heart that over half of our youth program participants are homeless when they join the program. Our skilled, highly trained staff work every day to connect these young folks to housing, to employment, and educational opportunities, to provide them with a sense of pride and belonging. And working to support the staff and youth in countless ways are some highly committed board members, led by our irrepressible committee chair, Scott Waller. Since the earliest days of the Center on Halsted, one of the main goals of our programs has been to ensure that the mental health needs of our community are met and to instill a sense of family that goes beyond the bricks and mortars of a physical home. And then, in 2020, our amazing staff rallied. They rallied to address the compounding stressors for our clients of COVID, job loss, social isolation, and racism. I hope you'll take a moment with me right now and let's acknowledge, applaud, and honor the staff for their flexibility, resiliency, and compassionate empathy during times that challenged many of them too. Thank you for all of the work you do.
I'm Franco La Marca, Development Chair at Center on Halsted. I hope you've been enjoying the virtual Gala so far, and I hope you will find inspiration in all of our honorees tonight. Center on Halsted listens to and learns from our community. With an ever-changing world, we find ourselves needing to evolve every year to meet the challenges that our people face on a daily basis. Tonight, there are two ways to support the work that we do. One, make a donation, or two, participate in the auction. There are some very exciting prizes in the auction, so I encourage you to bid and bid often. Thank you for helping us continue to serve the needs of our community. And now back to the program.
Everybody look around, there's a reason to rejoice, you see. Everybody come out, let us commence to singing joyfully. Everybody look up and feel the hope that we've been waiting on. Everybody's glad because the silent fear and dread are gone. Freedom you see, because our hearts singing so joyfully. Just look about, you owe it to yourself to check it out. Can't you feel a brand new day? 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 Everybody be glad, 'cause the sun is shining just for us. It's clear, everybody wake up into the morning, into happiness. That's right, hello world. It's like a different way of living now. Thank you, world. Always do that we be free somehow. In harmony, to show the world that we got liberty. It's such a change for us to live so independently. Freedom you see, has got our hearts singing so joyfully. Just look about, you owe it to yourself to check it out. Can't you feel a brand new day? Can't you feel a brand new day? Everybody look around, there's a reason to rejoice, you see. Everybody come out, and let's commence to singing joyfully. Everybody look up, and feel the hope that we've been waiting on. Everybody's glad, because the silent fear and dread are gone. In harmony, to show the world that we have liberty. It's such a change for us to live so independently. Freedom you see, has got our hearts singing so joyfully. Just look about, you owe it to yourself to check it out. Can't you feel a brand new day? 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 Can't you feel a brand new day?
I am so very pleased to introduce our first honoree of the evening, Sam Kirk. Sam is a multidisciplinary artist who explores culture and identity politics through her creations. Her artwork focuses on a variety of intersections, which encompass a call to celebrate differences and enact change. Her paintings include vivid, powerful images of women, members of the LGBTQIA community, and those who've historically been underrepresented. Kirk was recently recognized in Forbes magazine and Oprah magazine for her public art career, notably her Sister Cities mural, a commission by World Business Chicago and the city of Casablanca. She is the first woman and American to participate in their annual Casa Muja Street Art Festival. While Kirk has maintained a successful public arts career, she has also exhibited throughout the U.S. in galleries and museums. Please join me in celebrating Sam Kirk with a 2021 Human First Award.
I remember when I first started, I was trying to get more fabrication-based jobs because I was doing a lot more carpentry and installation-based work. And Samantha Kirk didn't work, but Sam Kirk did. So I actually cut my name down for that reason, because Sam Kirk happened to get more of the jobs that were typically in like male roles. I am a multidisciplinary artist. So primarily I have a fine art practice in my studio, but then I also do large-scale murals. The way that art became infused in my world was mostly when I started to come out. I mean, I was always an artist, I was always that kid that drew. But as a teenager, I got stuck because I was feeling different things and I didn't know how to express them. It's just beautiful that art was kind of that outlet for me. It was a communication tool. So it was really a tool for me to come out. Born and raised on the South Side, we moved a lot, so I claim the whole South Side because we moved probably a good 11 times. Growing up in a segregated city and being biracial is not the norm. So my family always looked different than what the majority was in our neighborhoods. As an artist, visually, we have the opportunity to create more visibility, more representation. I want people to feel seen and feel proud of who they are. I want young kids who grew up similar to me, I want them to be able to relate to it and feel like there's more of other people out there like them.
The core of her art is advocacy in social justice and celebration, but it's not about calling people out, it's about calling people in. That's what her artwork does.
It's tricky because when I'm painting my pieces, I don't always want to necessarily have to put a rainbow flag or a trans flag or something in the piece. Like when I'm walking down the street, like I'm not necessarily wearing that, so I want people to be seen as they are every day. But I also want to try to figure out like how do I share their full story in the work, and a lot of that is seen in the narrative that's behind the main portrait usually. But that's where people seem to get tripped up. And when they start to see, oh, those two women are, embracing each other in a way that I'm not used to, or maybe there's a woman that's Muslim and she's, wearing the rainbow colors or colors that we don't necessarily feel comfortable with. That's when most of the issues tend to come up.
Conversations around identity, conversations around race, conversations around social inequity, all of these topics can be really difficult to discuss. And I think the beautiful thing about art and about Sam's artwork in particular is that it facilitates these conversations. And she is Latina, she is queer, she is a creative, she is all of these things. And that is what she celebrates in her artwork.
At the end of the day, it's just really wanting more people to feel proud and happy with who they are and comfortable in their own skin and how they express themselves.
Hello everyone, I'm Mayor Lori Lightfoot, and I'm thrilled to be here to help celebrate Center on Halsted and Human First honorees Sam Kirk, Theaster Gates, and Jane Sachs for their compassionate and tireless commitment and service to Chicago's LGBTQ+ community. From mental health services and counseling to career development and training, and even events like these, Center on Halsted has been a remarkable resource for our city. Center on Halsted, I commend you for your 47-year-long legacy of combating discrimination against the LGBTQ community and renewed commitment to advocating for racial equity. I also want to uplift the work you've done this past year alone, which has been absolutely astonishing. In a time of great uncertainty, you have seamlessly transitioned to wraparound virtual services, as well as provided emergency assistance funds to those affected by HIV and housing to those affected by violence and homelessness. I want to thank you and tonight's honorees for working so hard to unite our neighborhoods through critical social supports, arts, and philanthropy. as well as protecting our city's most vulnerable communities. Thank you so much, and please, everyone, continue to be safe.
Hello, I'm Angela Barnes, Center on Halsted Board Chair. Center on Halsted works tirelessly to prioritize the experiences and lives of those most marginalized within our community. We see Center on Halsted as a catalyst, advocating for racial equity for all LGBTQ individuals, allies, and their intersectional identities. We commit to take intentional action, remain humble, defend equitable policymaking, and seek accountability in the collective effort to foster resilient communities. Systemic racism, classism, misogyny, biphobia, and transphobia all pervade our community, whether coming from the outside, from anti-LGBTQ sources, or from inside our own community by other LGBTQ individuals. Acknowledging and confronting these barriers is key to our success in meeting our mission to serve the entire LGBTQ community of Chicagoland. Center on Halsted recognizes that it has a long way to go to be truly equitable and inclusive, but we've been doing the work necessary to get there. For several years now, the organization has made diversity, equity, and inclusion a strategic priority area at all levels of the work, from the direct services our frontline staff provide our community, all the way up to the board of directors. Staff have been charged with ensuring their policies and practices align with our DEI values, that our work extends beyond the north side of Chicago and becomes valuable, accessible, and relevant to residents in South and West Side communities, and that our staffing and hiring practices take greater efforts to attract and hire candidates of color, transgender applicants, and ultimately to develop a workforce that more appropriately reflects the community we serve. One of the results of these DEI efforts is the development of an equity tool to be utilized by staff and board to ensure current and future decision-making directly addresses equity concerns and that marginalized voices are heard and centered in our work. The most important thing to acknowledge about this work is that it is a process. Becoming equitable and inclusive is not about checking a box. It is a continuous process of growth, change, and evolution that never ends. It is a commitment to community, to justice, and to ourselves to keep doing the work and to always raise the voices of those least often heard. And now I would like to introduce our next honoree, Jane M. Sachs. Jane is an artist, writer, and producer, as well as a cultural alchemist, educator, arts advocate, creative collaborator, and activist. Her work challenges and champions issues of gender, sexuality, human rights, race, and power. She is the co-founder, co-artistic director with Nisa Page Lieberman of the new international initiative, Monuments to Movements, in the House of Radical Feminist Practices. As the founding president and artistic director of Project Anne, she has expanded her life work by collaborating and partnering with artists to create new models of cultural participation and experience with social impact. Please join me in welcoming an enormously generous friend of Center on Halsted, Jane Sachs.
Jane is an alchemist. Jane brings people together.
Jane Sachs is an artist, an advocate, and most importantly to me, she's my friend.
Besides that she's an extraordinary example of love and compassion and kindness, she is an advocate for humanity.
She's a captivating individual. She's easy to like and easy to get to know.
Jane transforms situations and ideas by being the spark plug that she is.
I am a creator, I'm a writer, I'm an educator, I am a producer, I'm a co-creator, a collaborator, a community maker, and the pinhole through which I understand the world is through arts and culture. I think a lot about living a queer life and the idea that there's freedom and liberation in that. There's a lot of cost. You give up a lot. But what you get is you get yourself. You get to really know yourself authentically. What you get is what true kind of emancipation can give. I end up not being able to live any other way. And so I seek out people who are willing to do that.
The generosity of her spirit, she's always giving and finding ways of joining and merging people and forces and creative energies. But it's her curiosity, I think, that is what keeps her engaged and keeps her involved.
I think as artists, what we do is we create a reality into reality. It's what we also do as social justice workers. The justice we want to see, the fairness we want to see and live in doesn't exist yet. So we have to create it into reality. It's the same in the arts.
It is her relentless and fierce advocacy. I think her impact is making sure that she elevates the voices of those who are often ignored.
When you have a flood, when you have a fire, you don't call in art when you need blood and sandbags and water. But it's the second responder. And why is because it's the place we can be more reflective and find our human capacity. It's the place we can celebrate and educate each other, right? And laugh and love and be sexy. It also is the place that we can really look at the carnage we create, which means that art is dangerous because it pushes us to the ultimate human capacity. But it's also why art is equitable. We can all be second responders. We can all come to reflect. It's about the capacity of being a human being.
I've never known Jane to operate with any sense of despair at any moment in her life. No matter how challenging some of the events may be, she is always positively forward-facing, forward-moving, forward-thinking.
I like to live in all tenses of the verb. I like to really learn from the past and keep revealing things. I like to live in the present, which I think is like a revelation of constantly picking up those layers. And then I like to really be a part of imagining and building the future.
For nearly half a century, whether as Horizons or as Center on Halsted, we've been serving the critical needs of Chicago's LGBTQ community. We've been providing critical support to our community since the very first days of the AIDS epidemic in the 1980s. We depend on your support to keep programs like the Anti-Violence Project going. With your contribution today, you're helping ensure that survivors of violence in our community are able to access these essential services and gain the LGBTQ-focused support they need. Donate today. Thank you, and enjoy the gala.
I try to discover a little something to make me sweeter. Oh, baby, refrain from breaking my heart. I'm so in love with you. I'll be forever blue. That you give me no reason why you're making me work so hard. That you give me no, that you give me no, that you give me no, that you give me no. So I hear you calling. Oh baby, please just give a little respect to And if I should falter, would you open your arms out to me? We can make love, not war, and live at peace with our hearts. I'm so in love with you. I'll be forever blue. What religion or reason could drive a man to forsake his lover? Don't you tell me no, don't you tell me no, don't you tell me no, don't you tell me no. So I hear you calling. Oh baby, please just give a little respect to me. I'm so in love with you. I'll be forever blue. That you give me no reason, you know you make me work so hard. That you give me no, that you give me no, that you give me no, that you give me no. So I hear you calling. Oh baby, please just give a little respect to me. I hear you calling. Oh baby, please just give a little respect to me.
Hi, I'm Center on Halstead board member Krishna Ramachandran. One of Center on Halstead's main charges is to ensure the health and well-being of the LGBTQ people of Chicagoland. It's right there in our mission statement. We make this our mission because we know that LGBTQ people face inequities in healthcare at all levels. We experience disparately high rates of mental health concerns such as depression, substance misuse, and suicide. HIV continues to impact our community, as do the threats of homelessness, job discrimination, and hate-motivated violence, all of which make living a healthy life even more of a challenge. Those most marginalized in our community face even greater risks of health disparities. transgender and non-binary folks, Black, Indigenous, and other LGBTQ people of color, and our youth and older adults all face unique risk factors that make them even more vulnerable. Older LGBTQ adults, for example, face a range of heightened risks to their health and well-being, often a result of living a lifetime of anti-LGBTQ bias and discrimination in all areas of their lives. The COVID-19 pandemic made many of these vulnerabilities even more apparent. As the state of Illinois enforced its shelter-in-place order in March of last year, LGBTQ seniors found it difficult to have many of their basic needs met, including having access to nutritious meals. We at Center on Halsted listened to our patrons and acted quickly to ensure our older community members had access to food through the development of several food programs. In the first 3 months of the pandemic, our Senior Services Department distributed over 20,000 pounds of food to over 200 seniors, enrolled over 80 seniors in a city-run home-delivered meals program, and distributed over 1,100 meals donated by local restaurants to seniors in May and June. All the while, our staff continue to provide vital case management services, regular care check-ins, and virtual programming opportunities to help keep our seniors connected to us and one another. At Center on Halsted, our relationships with our clients goes beyond just business transactions. We are family, and family is there for one another when we need it. And speaking of family, we embrace the fullest definition of family at Center on Halsted, knowing that LGBTQ families come in many beautiful forms. To better support families, we provide a range of services and programs aimed at meeting their needs and helping forge new relationships. These range from family-based therapy services to fun, family-focused events like Storytime with Drag Queens, or the annual Transgender Ice Cream Social. Whether it's the families we're born into or the families we choose and create ourselves, family is critical. And we will always be there for one another because we are family.
Hey, I'm here. Hey, I'm not going nowhere. Hey, what's going on today and tomorrow and the days after? Because my people have survived thousands of years of being excluded. My people have survived thousands of years of non-acknowledgement of who they are. I am still here. Hey, how are you doing? Hey, I'm still here. As we go through the day, I want you to realize that my people are still fighting for the equal rights of being humans in a country, in a world that don't see us as such. We are still here. My trans, beautiful sisters and brothers and siblings, my lesbian sisters, my gay brothers and siblings, we are still here. Hey, how you doing? Hey, we are still here. We are still gleaming. We are still proud to be who we are, queer or gay, whatever you decide your identity is. We are here. I am still here. My husband is still here. My child is still here. Hey, we are still here. LGBT people have been constantly fighting, constantly surviving, constantly figuring out who we are, but we are still here today. Hey, how are you feeling today? Hey, how was you yesterday? I understand the continuous notion of the lack of understanding of who you are and your identity, but we are still here. We are still fighting. We are still figuring out who we are. Hey, how are you doing? Hey, do you know I love you? I care for you. I see you. I understand you. Hey, I want you to understand as you go through this day, we are not going nowhere. I want you to understand that we have a legacy, a lineage that was beyond the times that we have continued to push through. The sands of times that flow through us all, they would not have what they have without us. Hey, I love you. Hey, we will continue to get through this together. Hey, we are still here.
And now I would like to introduce our final honoree for tonight, Theaster Gates. Theaster lives and works in Chicago, where he creates work that focuses on space theory and land development, sculpture, and performance. Known for his recirculation of art world capital, Gates creates works with a focus on the possibility of the life within things. Gates smartly upturns art values, land values, and human values. In all aspects of his work, he contends with the notion of black space as a formal exercise, one defined by collective desire, artistic agency, and the tactics of the pragmatist. In 2010, Gates created the Rebuild Foundation, a nonprofit platform aimed at galvanizing communities through neighborhood regeneration and the development of educational and arts programming. Many of the foundation's initiatives have focused on the revitalization of Chicago's South Side, creating hubs and archives for Black culture, which serve as catalysts for discussions on race, equality, space, and history. Theaster and Rebuild Foundation have been instrumental in the success of Center on Halstead's youth housing program. I am proud to present Theaster Gates with the 2021 Human First Award. Let's learn more about him.
I knew when I started that I was interested in restoring buildings to create culture because I felt like the arts had the ability to take people from very, very different backgrounds and allow them, in the name of dance or in the name of theater or in the name of sculpture, to kind of learn together, to practice together, and that new friendships might emerge as a result of that. I think we make it a point to try to do projects that cross lots of boundaries. So whether it's queer identity or questions of masculinity or questions of blackness, there is a lot of porosity in how people identify, and how can we capture through programming the truth of that porosity. Several of our buildings have become repositories for Black archives and archives that matter to Black and brown communities.
Part of what's really important about Theaster's effort to collect and archive so many different Chicago-based collections is that they have a life beyond the present moment, and they can live into the future. Part of the salvaging effort, I think, is to make sure that future generations have some connectivity to them.
If the spaces and the work could be useful to other institutions, other creatives, then we want to try to be as much of an ally in their use as we can be. I became good friends with Frederick and tried to help make some of those early moves happen that led to the creation of the Frankie Knuckles Foundation.
As a mentor, he kind of instilled in me a purpose for the foundation and the work that we can kind of do in spreading Frankie's message of love and inclusion. And they've given us a home where Frankie can live and his music has a place to be heard. Theaster's insight and definitely his love and passion for art is the key to him being the leader that he is.
Institutions like Rebuild, it also is a type of safe haven for people on the south side of Chicago to be and to breathe and to take in the wonder of visual art.
Maybe we could help build a community that's not just about art for art's sake, but it's art as an opportunity to help a person locate who they are in the world. When the Center on Halstead approached us about developing a partnership, I thought this was a really amazing opportunity because it meant that youth who were struggling with their identity, their sexuality, that we wanted to kind of receive the queer kids, and that Rebuild could create space for people to be themselves, and that they would find themselves surrounded by other people who were as queer as they were. That would then, for a 15-year-old, a 17-year-old, it would then allow them to kind of be their best selves. As Rebuild grows, we want to find ways to be even more invested directly in the needs of artists, to trying to ensure that individual artists are able to be change agents that they want to be out in the world. And if we could multiply the number of great, ambitious artists, we could multiply the change that happens in the communities that they live in.
years, Center on Halsted has been a leader in the growth of the lesbian, gay, bisexual, transgender, queer, and HIV community here in the Chicagoland area. We provide programs and services to every person who walks through our doors. But our community continues to face challenges and threats from anti-LGBTQ forces. But all the while, we remain resilient and continue to push forward as a people. Center on Halsted has helped usher this movement forward, and with your support, we will continue to do so for years to come. Please, consider a donation today to help us keep doing the critical work our community needs and deserves. And you can support us tonight by checking out our silent auction. Make those bids and bid often. Thank you, and now back to the program.
I am Modesto Tico Valle, CEO of Center on Halsted, and I want to thank you for joining us at this virtual Human First on Gala. These past few years have been difficult on many fronts, a test to our morale and a fight for human rights. We fought to ensure that LGBTQ+ rights were not erased in this previous administration. We marched for the rights of women. We were outraged and demanded that Black Lives Matter. We joined with our partners to raise the voices of Asian Americans. We mourned and empowered trans BIPOC leaders to help us create the change needed to end the murdering of our trans community. We challenged our elected officials to recognize the rights of our immigrant communities. And we hope to end the COVID-19 pandemic quickly, but endure the lack of equity and inclusion for treatment and vaccinations. We, the board and staff, made a promise to you to advocate for racial equity for all LGBTQ individuals, allies, and their intersectional identities. With our partners, we fight racism, bias, and hatred. And we do all this in the spirit we know best, taking care of our own. During the COVID-19 pandemic, we were called upon to tend to the most vulnerable, to our neighbors and strangers. This is our mission here at Center on Halsted, to build community through health and wellness programming. During these past 18 months, we have been challenged to be innovative in our approach and to ensure that our community would not be left behind. We raised funds to allow our programs to continue uninterrupted. And yes, you, the donor, and volunteers took the extra step to care for our community. You had food drives to feed the hungry, delivered hot meals to our seniors, conducted winter wear drives for our LGBTQ+ youth and those seeking warmth from the cold elements. We visited the most vulnerable to keep them sheltered in place and to connect them with love and care. And when help arrived, we advocated for our clients to be vaccinated. We have been here before in a response to serve our community. But our work is not over. We added a wellness clinic to provide those seeking HIV prevention and care so that the center will have a holistic approach to its work. We doubled the space for our family center in response to the ever-growing need for family connection. This coming summer, we will begin working on a new strategic plan, and your voice will be ever so important to creating the next chapter of our work. We look forward to seeing you return back to community to rediscover your center. To our honorees, Sam Kirk, Jane Sachs, and Theaster Gates, thank you for your leadership and passion. To our donors, thank you for fueling our mission. To our clients, patrons, and volunteers, thank you for choosing to believe in Center on Halsted. We will celebrate again soon in person. Thank you, and onward together.
Thank you for joining us today at the 2021 Virtual Ungala. We are truly grateful for your continued support of Center on Halsted, and it's because of you that we are able to provide a wide range of services and programming to keep our community connected, resourced, and thriving. Well, we can't wait to see you here again, whether remotely or in person. I hope you'll come and rediscover your center at our center.